Good morning, everyone. So, today in our lab session, we're going to start a very interesting topic which actually grasps the attention of most of the students, and we are eager to do it. So, we're going to begin with one of the favorite topics that students have. They might have practiced, you also might have practiced it somewhere. So, we're going to begin with the topic group discussion. Now, remember over here, that we are going to look at group discussion because it's a part of our unit number 2. We're going to look at group discussion as a part of the recruitment process or a technical communication process. Okay, so I know you might have gone through the process of doing the group discussion, but let's see how things work and how they are labeled. Just let the PPT start and then we can discuss. Okay, here we go. So group discussion, but here we have to understand that group discussion from the point of view of the recruitment process as a part of the selection process or the recruitment process. So if you see, as I've always mentioned, when you have to understand a topic better in English, you can look at the formation of the words. Now here we can see it's a combination of two words, group and discussion. So a discussion that takes place in a group. Now by group over here, we mean that it could not be just 2 or 3 people. It always has to be 5 or more. Right. Usually in what we have experienced in real life recruitments, it would be a group of 10 to 12 people. Okay. So, what is group discussion? Group discussion is actually a well formulated tool for judging a prospective candidate or judging a prospective interviewee. How do you judge the person? Here, as we have known, wherever we have been mentioning workplace situation, we know that it's impossible for somebody uh, to work alone as an individual and then gain success quickly. Right? So, what do we need to do for a good success rate? We need to collaborate. So, here, group discussion, why does it become an important tool for judging candidates? It becomes an important tool for judging candidates because we are not supposed to perform individually. Along with individual performance, you are also supposed to perform in a group, right? So, not only does it highlight your individual characteristics but also highlights how you behave in a particular group of people. This is an important tool because it also generates how you work along with a team of known or unknown individuals, and it also is a helpful tool because it sees how smoothly information can flow from one person to another person or from the same person once or twice within the stipulated time given for group discussion. Now, as I said, if you have to understand things in English, you have to look at the words, the nomenclature, how they are named. Now here, group discussion is actually a combination of two words, group and discussion. Remember, I've been repeating every now and then with the technical aspect in mind. So, what is a group? It's a group of individuals. By a group over here, we mean it's a collection of individuals who have regular contact and frequent interaction and who work together to achieve a common set of goals. Right here, if you do not even have frequent interactions, if it is a part of the recruitment process, you might know the individual, you might not know. Right? When do you don't know the individual? When you have people from different branches or maybe people from different colleges appearing for the same group discussion process, right? So it might be people whom you know, you don't know, but the goal that is set is common for everyone. So what is the goal at that particular moment? At that particular moment is the goal is to gain a chance for sitting into a personal interview. Remember, group discussion is a tool for judging whether the candidate can go further or not. If you succeed in group discussion, it does not mean that you get the job or you get the goal, but it is a way in which you can reach your goal. Discussion, by discussion we mean it's actually a process where two or more individuals sit face to face and exchange information and ideas. uh, Here especially it has been mentioned face to face. Why so? See, group discussion not only judges you with your words but also judges you with your body language. So, language plus body language. Remember, unit number one is never going to leave your side. It's omnipresent everywhere. So, whenever they say that they're going to evaluate you, they don't only evaluate what you speak, but they also evaluate what you don't speak. Right? What you speak through your body without words, the non-verbal communication that happens. So remember, verbal communication does not walk along, it's paired with non-verbal communication everywhere you go. Right? So here, that's why face to face. Right now, if I'm talking to you through this medium of virtual platform that we have, and we have not switched on our cameras. See, you can just see how you can just listen to what I'm speaking. You cannot see what I'm doing, right? So how do you judge whether the person is actually very interested in teaching, the person is feeling good or not? Similarly, words can be deceptive. They can uh, hide the feelings. Right now, you do not know whether the teacher is in the mood to teach or not, and I also do not know whether you want to learn or not, because we are unable to see each other's faces. Hence, when you are in the classroom, when you are actually present in the classroom, the teachers can really make out that okay, now the situation is not in our hand, or now they're getting bored, let's do something else. Right? That's why the face-to-face interaction is required, and that is why group discussion. Okay. So what could be the end result? We have always known the why part. Why are we doing it? To achieve a goal. So what could be a goal in group discussion? A goal in group discussion would be to increase the knowledge that you already have, polish yourself and become better. It could also be coming to a common agreement, all the 10 people agreeing on the same point. uh, Not necessary every time everybody will agree, so it could be also disagreement, a little conflict, and then coming to another resolution or another point. Right? So remember, here group discussion, it is group discussion, not debate. There's a very thin line of difference between group discussion and debate. So group discussion, you don't pick sides, you give your opinion. In debate, you pick a side, you strongly believe in one or the other option. There are only two options in debate: either you speak in favor of the topic or you speak against the topic. Whereas group discussion might have a third option, that is the in between option that you have. It might have a fourth option, a solution which nobody's thought of. Right? So here in group discussion, what happens is you just give your opinions, whether you agree to the topic or not. What do you think should change in the topic if you are disagreeing to something? Right? So believe me, it takes little time, very little time, for a group discussion to turn into a debate. Okay, it's like very thin line of difference. But remember, group discussions are meant for discussing and finding out solutions. Debates have different or other purposes. So what is the significance? Why group discussion? Now, very first thing that you can notice over here is group discussion helps to evaluate whether the candidate is eligible for the office, or is it he or she is the person for whom the office is searching for, or whom the position is empty for. Do they fit in? Next, it also helps to assess how a participant performs under different situations. Remember, I said that in a group, you might not always be grouped with people you like or people you are confident with, right? It might not be the case every time. There's somebody whom you are not at all comfortable, and you are grouped or paired with the same person. What do you do? See, every time, if it is a job scenario or a job situation, you might not get what you like. You might never be in the same position. You might never be in comfortable position. I'm sorry. You might never be in a comfortable position, right? So what will happen is, how do you behave where you are uncomfortable? What do you do when you move out of your comfort zone? Right? Because in an organization as well, when you start working, every time you might not get the project that you like. Every time you might not get the team that you would have liked to work with. Right? So how do you react? How do you behave, and how do you work out? How do you tend to have a solution in such scenes? So group discussion would be a very important tool to measure that. Next, it helps her to judge how a person conceptualize and maneuvers his or her ideas. It's not always about 100% about the idea that you give. It's also sometimes about how you present your idea. The same idea one person gives and it's not approved, and the very same idea somebody else presents and it is approved. It's not that the person is favoring, it is just how you presented one idea to one person and the next idea to the other one. Right? So it's all about how you present the idea, how you conceptualize your thoughts and put it into a framework. Now, it also helps shedding light on the candidate's leadership and managerial skills and creative thinking. So, here it's specially mentioned creative thinking. So, let me give you an example over here, a recent example which students have experienced. A real life example I'll give over here. Uh, One of the branches in our college had to sit for their interview. Now, before the interview, most of the recruiters would always go for a group discussion, a round of group discussion, so that they can see which candidates to interview. Now, what so happened is, after they formed the groups, what they did is they would usually give the topic. Now, this time, the team of recruiters wanted to be a little new or wanted to be a little different from the rest. So, what they actually did was, after the group was formed, people settled down. What they did is they gave the topic. Now, what was the topic? What's so interesting about the topic? What they did was they placed an A4 size paper, a printing paper, a blank printing paper on the table where the prospective candidates were sitting. They placed a blank A4 size paper where the prospective candidates were sitting and said, "This is your topic. You are given 5 minutes to think and then you can discuss." Now, had you been in the place of those candidates, what do you think the topic actually was? I'll repeat my question. What they actually did is, they placed in blank A4 size printing paper, the paper on which you get your prints, that's the A4 size, in front of the candidates and said that this is your topic. Now, had you been in the candidate's place, what do you think the topic is? You can type your answers in the chat box. I hope you have understood my question. Yes or no would help me. I hope you have understood the question. Okay. So take some time, take 2 3 minutes of a time, and think about what the recruiters were actually asking for. What would be their topic? Excellent thought, Yash. Topics like impact of technology on job. What else? What else could be the topic? No other idea? Nobody else thinking about it? What other possible topics could it be? Remember, it's okay to be wrong. We're just taking a guess over here. Please give it a try. Think what could the topic be? Excellent, Naisargi. It could be the symbol of starting a journey. Any kind of a journey. Excellent. Good. What else? Don't worry, I'll be sharing what students from the other batches, lab batches, have also told and discussed with me. Right? So please give it a try. What else do you think could that blank piece of paper mean? I feel that if people have not taken their cup of tea, coffee, or milk today morning, is it so? Okay, something along the lines of being creative and coming up with individual new ideas. Excellent, Vartika. Nice thought about it. Let me share what your friends from the other lab sessions have told me. So, a few of the topics that they thought of was save trees, save environment. One of the other classmates said that how could we use that product? What are the different uses of the product that they have put in front of us? One of the person quite being in the line of how do we manufacture things thought of the idea that the topic would be how is this product manufactured. One of the other persons uh, also discussed that how paper has been a part, an inevitable part of human history. On in what different forms? Maybe the form of a book, the form of a newspaper. This is what the person explained. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. In group discussion, how do you test somebody's creative skills? A person's creative skills can be tested looking at such aspects, different perspectives that the person has towards the same piece of paper. That's how you can be creative. Now, here, if you see the recruiter's entire idea with this blank piece of paper was not to see whether they are interpreting what the interviewers wanted them to interpret, but how they could interpret things differently. And the last significant point in a group discussion would be helping to analyze the candidate's attitude towards other people, right? How do you behave with other people in public shows your attitude towards other people. Please mark this as an important question. What is the structure of a group discussion? Please mark this as an important question wherever you are taking note of important questions for the subject. Mark this one as an important question from the exam point of view. Excuse me. What is the structure of a group discussion? Remember, each and every time we have dealt with any document that is related to workplace or any document that is quite technical in nature, it would have a structure. I have been repeating it quite an often Uh, I've been repeating these things. So, what's the structure of a group discussion? So, the structure of a group discussion is divided into four steps. Here, you have to maintain the chronology. You cannot do anything about it. You cannot change the chronology. So, the very first step is entering a discussion. So, how do you enter a discussion? Enter a discussion by beginning with greetings. See, most of us casually we take greetings very casually. If we remember, we'll greet. If we don't remember, we think it's fine. But see, in group discussion, they not only notice, as I said, they not only notice your knowledge about the topic that has been given, but also this general mannerisms and etiquettes are also being noticed. So the very first thing that you do when you are starting the group discussion is that you greet everybody who's present. So good morning everyone, and then the next step is you have to repeat the topic very clearly. Why so? Somebody might have not heard the topic. Moreover, if everybody has heard the topic, if you repeat the topic, what happens is people become more aware and alert that, okay, this is what we are going to discuss. This is the topic of discussion. This is what is going to happen in the room. Now, the second step should be your opening remarks. The second step should be your opening remarks. Now, I hope you understand why we have included opening remarks in our lecture sessions, right? To give a practice. Why a practice? Let me give you a very simple example over here. Now, most of the students, when I meet them, they'll tell me, Madam, I am a Gujarati medium student. My English not good. I always insist that no, you are not Gujarati medium. You're neither Gujarati medium nor or English medium. You're in between. Why? So I have a very perfect example. If I say you're Gujarati medium, it means you are very good with Gujarati. They'll say, yes, yes, madam, yes. I'll just give them a very simple question to be solved, and hence proving that language is not a matter of what you study in. It's just a matter of habit. So I'll also give that simple example to you. What do you call a table in Gujarati? Some people are very stubborn and they'll tell me, Madam, Gujarati medium students, stubborn. So I'll simply ask them, what do you call a table in Gujarati? So they begin by telling me maize. I'll say maize is actually a Hindi word, it's not a Gujarati word. Believe me, uh, in this 8 years of association with the university, people have never been able to answer this correctly. The exact meaning. They'll tell me it's bakdo. Then I'll say no, it's a bench. Bench is bakdo. Partly. That's also a bench in the classroom. Right? What I'm trying to help you here with is I'm not trying to prove that you're not good with Gujarati, but what I'm trying to prove to you is because we have been habituated to use the word table, we are unable to quickly recognize and understand or try and find out the word synonymous word in Gujarati. Okay? Simply take words like mobile phone number, television or TV, radio, iPad, computer. These are the words which we are habituated to learn, right? So language is a matter of habit. That's why this opening remarks, if you do it practically, it becomes a part of your habit. Every time you will do it, right? Like most of us, when we pick up the phone, some of us would say hello, others would have a habit of greeting in some way. Why? Because we are habituated. That's your signature style, right? So now I hope you understand why we have an opening remark section with us and a closing remark section with us in our lecture and lab sessions. Right? So you should always know why it is there. Just because the teacher does not have enough material, no. We're trying to put in a habit into you so that habitually it will happen that way. People who speak fluent English are habituated to speak in English. And that's why they speak. We speak very good Gujarati because we are habituated to speak in Gujarati. Right? We have an habit. So this is habit formation. Now, opening remarks should be very strong and very interesting. Why? If the starting is interesting, it will involve the attention of the entire group for the entire period. not only should it be interesting, but it should have a strong opinion that you are trying to make. Here, let's say I'll give an simple example of another group discussion, very interesting group discussion topic that we have. So, everybody knows the English alphabet in the class, I assume, right? We know the English alphabet A, B, C, onwards Z, right? So, why is it so that the English alphabet is arranged in the way it is? Why is it so that the English alphabet is arranged in the way it is? That is, why A comes first, after A it is B, third letter is C. Why not Z be the first letter and A be the last letter? So, kindly give a thought on it. Do not worry, as I said, we did not be right. We just need to take a chance. So, if I ask you, or if a topic such as this is given to you, what would be your opening remark? I'm not asking the facts and figures. I'm not asking the facts and figures, remember, right? I'm not asking the facts and figures. I'm just asking, if somebody says or somebody gives you such a topic for group discussion in this group over here, that why is A the first alphabet in the, or the first letter in the English alphabet? Or why is the English alphabet arranged in the manner it is? Right? So, what would be your thoughts on it? A few thoughts. I request you don't search on the internet or the search engine. Why? Because when you are given group discussion topics, actually in the actual scenarios, right? Uh, they would not allow you to use your mobile phone. They would just allow you to search through your minds. So I put my trust in you that you are not searching on your mobile phone and you're thinking. So it would be really interesting if you think about it, right? So I'm giving you 3 4 minutes of time to think, and whatever thoughts come, you can keep putting up on the chat box, so that we can discuss it further. Right? Just the opening remarks. I don't want any supporting detail. What would you have done if you were asked to talk about this topic? Right? So 2 3 minutes time given for thinking and writing something, whatever comes to your mind. Putting my faith and trust in you that you'll not be Google searching, because it would be very interesting to see how we think about a topic. Okay. So 2 3 minutes of time given to you. So, can we get some thoughts on inputs on the topic? Either, if you wish, you can unmute yourself and tell me about your thoughts on the topic, or you can draft a message in the chat box, whatever you wish to do. Excellent, Vertica. It maybe has been derived from a language. There was a similar pattern. What else? Remember, as I'm telling you, it should not be, you should not have the thought whether it's right or wrong. Okay, whatever first thought comes to your mind, had it been a group discussion, what would be the first thought that would come to your mind? Don't worry, I'll give you the correct answer. I'll not leave you on the confusion of the note that how it happened. Whatever crazy idea you have that this may be the reason, I feel this is the reason. What's your opinion? Okay, nobody wants to give any opinion. Okay. Yes, group discussion is an important activity in academic, business, and administrative spheres, etc. Nice. We don't have any opinion now, then I'll narrate the story. Okay. See, what Vartika has told is quite near to what I'm going to tell you. Before I tell you how the evolvement of this language came, you can always begin with the statement that Vartika has given, and instead of saying maybe derived from another language with a similar pattern, you can say, we all have a very good idea that English language is a language which has been made after borrowing. Remember, it has borrowed a lot from different languages. So maybe the pattern also has been borrowed from other languages. Okay, this is how you can frame a sentence. Now, let me tell you the actual story. Because you are students of science, I am very much sure you know alpha, beta, gamma, delta, theta, right? This is the Greek alphabet. Alpha is equal to the A of the English. That's what we assume. So let's begin with alpha. A. Now, if you see the formation of alpha, it's actually a circle with two lines. Okay? It's like a small fish that we used to draw when we were in younger classes. Now, apart from that, what you now do is, if you rotate the alpha anti-clockwise, one time you rotate it, right? By 15 minutes, if you rotate it. So now, what do you see? It's a circle with two lines on the head. Sometimes we call it the horns, the devil's horn. Right? Now, if you see the Greek alphabet alpha, when you rotate it anti-clockwise, what you will see is actually a pictorial representation of an ox. When language was not in existence, when language was not in existence, this is how they used to communicate, right? With pictures. So alpha is actually a pictorial representation of an ox. There was a technical glitch. So what I was saying is, nowadays we do have some modern tools. We do have modern tools for plowing the land, getting food. But initially, when it began, it was an ox that used to plow the land. That's why, food being the first basic necessity of life, alpha got its place first in the alphabet. This I know because of reading. Similarly, if you take beta, beta is actually a representation of a two-storied house, shelter, the second basic necessity of life. Right? That's a story. This I cannot tell in the opening remarks. Remember, this information which I have provided right now, we're supposed to keep it in the very next step. So, what is the next step? Just a minute. What is the next step? The comments, your opinions that you place over here. So, it becomes very interesting when you narrate such a story. See, the story might be correct or incorrect. You have to support it with details. And towards the end of the group discussion, you have to conclude. Now, conclusion would take place. When would conclusion take place? Conclusion would take place when everybody comes to an opinion, or everybody comes down to a common opinion. In case in certain group discussions you don't come to a common opinion, you may conclude by summarizing the entire discussion. But make sure, like everywhere we have mentioned, that when you are concluding, you cannot introduce any new idea. The same applies over here as well. Okay, which of the following is a well formulated tool for judging the candidates? We have a reconnecting question. You can answer it in the chat. Excellent, you have answered it correctly. Group discussion, that's the very first statement we had when we were introducing ourselves to group discussion. It's a tool, well formulated tool for judging the candidates. Please remember this as an important question in terms of MCQ. We are trying to also help you with thinking in the direction when an MCQ is asked. So group discussion is a part of the selection process. How does it happen? Right? So a little introduction tells us what we have already discussed it, as, as it is actually suitable for selecting a candidate. It is also, it has also become an integral part of any recruitment process. It has become an integral part of any recruitment process, take any small or big. So, what are the characteristics of a group discussion? Remember, I have been telling since we started discussing that you have to remember that here they mean to say when group discussion takes place as a part of the recruitment process. So, what are the characteristics of such a group discussion? Here, as I said earlier as well, here by group we mean more than 5 candidates, and usually as a part of the recruitment process, it would be 10 candidates. These groups do not have leaders. They are leaderless groups which are formed, and the time limit for such group discussions is 30 minutes. Now, this 30 minutes is further subdivided into time. First 5 minutes after the topic is given, your 30 minutes starts ticking. So, first 5 minutes for thinking about the topic. Here, you will not be allowed to use your mobile phones. You are just supposed to think about what you have already learned, what information and knowledge you have. You just have to arrange that information you have. Then the next 15 minutes for 15 to 20 minutes given for discussion, and 5 minutes for conclusion and feedback. Usually, depending on the infrastructure facility that is available at the venue, the students or the candidates are asked to sit in a circular, rectangular, or a U shape formation. Why such formation? So that you can see each and every candidate's body language as well. Now, what happens is the candidate may choose the seat on which he or she wants to sit, or the candidates would be asked to sit on allocated seats. See why? So, most of the times the seats would be allocated by the recruiters. Why so? Because the person has never met you, and even if has met you, has a very short interaction with you. So they're supposed to actually judge you. So how do they judge who is who? Right? Because when they allocate the seat, they'll have an arrangement or a list with them that this person is sitting on the first seat, second seat, third seat. So most of the times, what happens is they will allocate a seat and you have to sit on that one. But the sitting on any seat does not make a difference. Okay, it does not make a difference, or does not have to do anything with your performance. It does not have to do anything with your performance. Your performance is your own responsibility. The seat does not have to do anything with the performing part. Okay, so then they'll introduce you to a selection panel, the panel that is there waiting to select or to decide which or who is the appropriate candidate for their institute or organization. Now, this selection panel will actually comprise of 3 or more people. Some people from the human resource department, and some of the people from the technical departments. Okay, a technical person who's well versed in the technical part would be present. Now, each time, remember in the presentations, I had asked you that when you are making a presentation, assume that the audience has zero knowledge. Similarly, when you are there doing a group discussion, they'll assume that you have zero knowledge. So the initial few minutes before your time starts, they'll take a few minutes to tell you the rules of the group discussion. Okay, they'll be telling you the rules of the group discussion after introducing you to the panel. Then the panel would assign you a topic. Panel will assign you a topic, and they may either directly observe you, or you would be sitting in a room with a uh, facility of a webcam, and they can view you from the screen. Okay, either or, whatever is feasible in the case of that particular recruiter. Next, how do I know? Like, people would have a query, madam, how do I know that the group discussion has started or not started? Is the group discussion about to end? So they will signal you using a bell or any other methods that are feasible in their case. Now, next very important question would be the evaluation and analysis. Please mark this as an important question from the exam point of view as well. How do they evaluate that this candidate is the one that we want in our organization? The very first, there are five, you can also call it criteria for evaluation. You can also call it the rubrics for evaluation. This is how questions might be formed, or you might be asked to answer the question in this way, right? So, what are these criterias? There are five different criterias on which a candidate can be judged. The first criteria is knowledge, team spirit, communication skills, leadership skills, and group behavior. Now let's see each of the criteria in a little detail. Right? This question can be asked in two forms. One, a lengthy form where you have to discuss all the five, or a shorter form where you have to discuss any one. So let me tell you how the question might be formed. The question can be formed by asking you that, uh, discuss with appropriate examples the evaluation and analysis criteria for judging a candidate in a group discussion, or discuss knowledge as a criteria of evaluation in group discussion, right? And you can replace knowledge with the other five. That's how it will work in terms of exam. So please mark it as an important question wherever you are taking a note of things. Note it down there that this is one of the important questions that we have over here. So let's see each of them in detail. If a short note is asked, if you are asked to draft a short note on knowledge, what do you write? Now, what do they judge in terms of knowledge? That be judging the depth of your knowledge. How well do you know about things? How well read you are in terms of knowledge. See, you can only give examples if you are well read. And you can support the information that you are providing in group discussion, the information that you are giving in group discussion, only and only if you are well read. That's a fact. Right? I cannot tell that the GDPI of India has fallen by 50% if I don't know about it. That's an example that I'm uh, quoting over here. You cannot inform and judge or give a figure if you do not, or have you not read about it. Okay, you will not be confident enough to give an answer over here. So from the knowledge part, what do they judge is they judge in depth. How much in depth do you know about a particular topic? How much have you read about a particular topic? Right? Next, they'll also try to see your organizational and analytical abilities. Yeah, you know the knowledge, you have a knowledge about the topic, but how do you organize the ideas? Is it logical? It is flowing in a correct form without having bumps or stoppages, right? How clear you are. Moreover, they'll also judge your original ideas. Sometimes, like this blank piece of paper they give, what do you originally think about this? What is that creative aspect? What is your perspective that makes you different from the other nine candidates? They'll also try to judge your problem solving abilities. How creative, how offbeat, and how divergent solutions you have. Remember, I had been insisting whenever I gave you this 2 3 topics, I was insisting it's okay if you are wrong, but what do you think? What is your creative idea on it? So this is how they'll judge you in the knowledge area. Second, communication skills. By communication skills, there are four major criteria on which they will judge you in the communication skills part. Criteria number one, active listening. See, most of us love to talk. We don't like to listen. So one good aspect I think of having this situation of corona is students have started listening. I know you are not left with a choice, but you have to listen. Yes, I do miss the noisy classrooms. That's a second thought. But you have become listeners. You start listening, you have started paying attention. You were listeners, but you were not that active enough. Now we have become a little active because we know there would be a question that would come up. There might be a quiz from this, what has been taught. So you're trying to carefully listen. So, why is listening important in terms of a group discussion? Sometimes, sometimes we are stumped sometimes we are stumped with questions as similar to what I have given, right? At times what happens is when you come across an unknown question, what happens is you'll have a fear in mind that I don't know anything about this question, what will I do, right? See, the problem with us is we become a little conscious when the topic that is given to us is a little unfamiliar. You are not knowing. See, once about the paper I told that you would have thought about save trees. Some of you might have thought, yeah, that was in my mind, but I did not know actually. So what happens is we are stumped by the question, and we should not be stumped by the question when it comes or with regard to group discussion. You always have time to think. One, two, even after thinking a lot, you're not sure whether the answer or what you are thinking is the correct line of thinking. There are nine other people to help you. There are nine other people to help you out. How will this nine people help out? Because they will put forward their thoughts. Somebody will put forward their thoughts. If nobody put forward their thoughts, see, as I said, group discussion means what's your opinion? What do you think about the topic? You may be right, you may be wrong, you may be 50% right. That does not matter. But your line of thinking. So, listening is important. Why? Because you'll be able to build up your discussion points based on what you listen from others. You'll be able to build up your points based on what you listen to others when you are quite not sure whether you have understood the topic well or not. Right? At least you will be able to contribute something to the discussion. That's what the whole idea is all about. Right? Then we have clarity of thought and expression. How clear you are. Whatever your thought is, whether correct or incorrect is a secondary aspect. Whatever your thought is, are you clear about it? Are you 100% sure about it? Then appropriate language and body language. Appropriate language and body language. Remember, I said, and I've been repeating n number of times, that language not only means what you speak, but also a combination of what your body says without speaking. Right? So the verbal and non-verbal part. Now, see, this communication skills criteria is very important because they can ask a lengthy question also out of it. So, this is a little detailing of if a lengthy question is asked. So, discussed communication skills as an important evaluation point in group discussion. This is what you can write. I've already discussed active listening. As you can see, it helps you to connect. It also helps you to pull out threads of discussion when you do not have very good idea about the topic. And sometimes, as I said, the process of communication is incomplete without feedback, suggestions, question answers, etc. These are different forms of feedbacks, right? So when somebody asks a question, if you have been an active listener, you'll be able to answer it well. So that's active listening. Then clarity of thought and expression, how you express. If you are more lively, if you are more confident, it will help you convince the others in the members, and the group discussion goes in the direction which you want to, right? You should not, remember, it's not a fight. Okay, it's not a fight. It's not a quarrel. It's not about who is right or wrong. It's all about what you feel about a particular topic. What is your opinion about a particular topic? So that is why you should speak in a way that you do not hurt the other person's self esteem. So you are wrong. You should not be speaking like this. No. Even if you disagree with somebody, it should be polite enough. You would say, yeah, I feel that this would be your opinion, but I feel a little different, or my opinion varies a little. The same thing, but say it in a very nice manner, so that you don't hurt the other person's feeling. It's not a fight or a quarrel. Then appropriate language. Now you would have by now understood what do I mean by appropriate language. Proper sentence structures, proper grammar, proper pronunciation. Language should be simple. Do not try, we have this thing in mind. If I use hard words, or if I use jargons, it would be very impactful. Remember, over here you are supposed to be understandable, right? You're not supposed to become Sashi Tharoor. Yes, he is having a good command over language. He has a good command over language, but his usage of language could be understood by only a few specific audience. Right? You are supposed to make everybody understand. That's why here simplicity and clarity of language is what is appreciated. Appropriate body language. Your body language should match your language. So not only by words you should feel positive, also by your also by your body language you should display positivity. Please control your emotions. You cannot become angry. Sometimes they would uh, the recruiters would put forward a controversial topic. Even if you strongly believe in one of the things in the topic and the others don't believe in it, it's okay. It's just a matter of 20 minutes of discussion. That's it. It's not a lifetime thing, and nobody is going to be sentenced to jail for showing their opinions. But have a control over your emotion. Team spirit. How do you balance your opinions and the team's opinion? How, remember here, you are not performing individually. Your individual performance is also linked with the performance of the team. So better the team performance, better your individual performance. Why? It's a group discussion. It's not an individual speech. It's not a public speech, right? That's a difference. So how do you build up relationship with people whom we are sometimes meeting for the very first time? There are people who do not speak much but have good knowledge, and you can see, oh, you appreciate them. So this is actually a matter of cooperation and coordination. And last, leadership skills. By leadership skills, I do not mean you have to start the group discussion and you only have to end the group discussion, or only you speak all the time in the group discussion. What you need to do is you need to coordinate. So what are the two things that you coordinate? First, there should be a functional ability in the person, and secondly, the coordinating ability. Now, by functional ability, we mean your knowledge, depth of knowledge, the examples that you cite, your memory, your mental energy, physical energy that you have, emotional stability, your own communication skills. Then the coordinating ability means the group adaptability and the group motivation. Sometimes some of the group members might not speak. So what you can do is you can show your coordinating ability by asking the person directly at times that what do you think, what are your opinions. I see you have not spoken. Or you can say, my friend over here, I would like to hear you out as well. Remember, you are supposed to just show a coordinating ability. You are not supposed to drag the person in the group discussion, right? If the person says, okay, this I have not given much a thought about it, that's fine. You can ask the person once. You can ask the person once to contribute to the group discussion. You are not supposed to drag the person into the group discussion, because sometimes somebody might genuinely not know anything about the topic. By dragging the person in the situation, you are creating an embarrassing moment for that person, right? So you are not supposed to drag the person, but you are supposed to, if you want to take leadership, what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to see that the person contributes at least once during the 20 minutes, not, if not more, at least once. Group behavior. Behaving properly in the group, all the manners and etiquettes to be followed. Trying to involve group members in the group discussion. Coordinating or connecting the dots in the various viewpoints or perspectives that are given. And sometimes when the discussion goes off track, you have to bring it on track. And these are the three types of leaders that we find. We do not need an authoritative leader or an amiable leader. We need a democratic leader. Right? Who is an authoritative leader? The one who tries to impose his viewpoint on everybody. No, you have to believe in what I am saying. The amiable one is one who wants peace at all cost. Means if candidate A says that this is my opinion and candidate B has an different opinion, an amiable leader would try to bring peace. He or she will agree to the person one, and then after some time he or she will agree to person two as well, trying to have peace, no chaotic environment. Whereas a democratic leader would allow chaos but try to connect the dots so that chaos is avoided, right? Equal chance of expression, yet connection is felt when you have a democratic leader. So which one of these is not a part of the evaluation and analysis criteria for a group discussion? Excellent and quick answers, quick learners, reading skills. Remember, reading skills would come in. We're not judging a person based on his or her reading. We are judging the person based on his or her knowledge. You can acquire knowledge through different means, not only reading, but different means like experience, reading, observing, etc. That's why reading skills is not a part of the evaluation criteria. Now, organizational group discussion. Now, organizational, within the organization, when you have a group discussion, there are a few techniques. This is also a very important question from the exam point of view. So, discuss the various techniques of organizational group discussion could be one question, or write a short note on brainstorming, write a short note on nominal group technique, write a short note on Delphi technique. See, to make the question a little more hard, they'll not mention that it is a group discussion technique. They'll just write brainstorming, nominal, Delphi. Write a short note on Delphi technique, write a short note on nominal group technique, write a short note on brainstorming technique. Please remember, this is a very important question. Note it down somewhere. So, brainstorming technique. A brainstorming technique is actually a technique of generating a variety of ideas. See, we have already been using the word brainstorming, right? Brain plus storming. Storming means creating a storm. What happens in a storm? When there is a storm, so many things are flying. It does not see that I'll spare the houses, I'll attack only on the trees, or I'll attack only the ocean and not the land. Similarly, if you take brainstorming is actually a method for generating ideas. Now, what happens actually in brainstorming? There are different people involved, either from the same discipline or from a varied discipline. By discipline over here, we means line of education. Okay, either from the same line of education or from different, or maybe they all belong to different social and cultural backgrounds. The more diverse the group, the more ideas you get. Now here, please understand, when this question is asked, this is actually a little introduction to the brainstorming technique, and then you have the technique itself, the steps for the technique, how the technique works, right? So this two things you have to write. This is actually the introduction of brainstorming, and this is the steps. So what is the step? 6 to 12 people sit in a group on a table. There is one group leader, because it's an organizational group discussion. There will be somebody who will put forth the problem in a very clear manner so that the participants understand. Now, what the members are supposed to do? The members are supposed to give solutions. You are not supposed to first discuss. You are just supposed to note down as many solutions as possible to the given problem. Once you run out of the solutions, then solution by solution you have to again discuss. Okay, let's say I have a problem A. I have solution 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now after 5, I don't like the entire group cannot think of a solution. So everybody has thought of a solution. Some solutions will be common, some will differ. So first they will pick up the common solutions. Okay, solution number 2 is common to all the 10 candidates. So we'll discuss solution 2 first. But when you are noting down the solutions, you are not supposed to discuss. The solutions are recorded and they are supposed to be present for later discussion and analysis. Now, brainstorming, there are two types. So, remember, brainstorming is one of the most important techniques of organizational group discussion from the exam point of view because it has sub types. So, what are the two types of brainstorming? The first type is storyboarding, and the second type is lotus bloom. First type is storyboarding, and the second type is a lotus bloom. Usually, storyboarding technique is used to solve complex problems. The storyboarding technique is used to solve complex problems. Now, what happens over here is first people will identify major issues, and then one by one, each major issue is discussed. Then, one by one, each major issue is discussed. Now, if you take the lotus bloom technique from the name itself, it's like a lotus flower. There is one center and there are 8 petals. Here, similarly, in this technique, the participants are presented with one centerpiece, okay, the center of the lotus, and they have to just give 8 ideas. They have to limit themselves to 8 ideas. Once 8 ideas are generated, then each idea would become a core. Each idea would become a core, and then again 8. Okay, we do this or we repeat this steps until, or the technique or the steps can be repeated until the either the participants cannot generate any new idea or you have already reached a solution. So brainstorming technique has two sub techniques: one storyboarding technique and two lotus bloom technique. Please remember, this is an important question because it has subtypes. Brainstorming. Now the nominal group technique. Now nominal group technique restricts the discussion amongst the participants during the decision making process. Yes, the participants are present in the same room physically, but they are not supposed to discuss right away. They are supposed to operate independently. So, what are the steps? First, a problem is presented. Before any discussion takes place, each member has to note down his or her point views. Then discussion takes place for clarity of idea. Now, after the discussion as well, whatever ideas have decided upon, each member has to rank the idea in their own way without discussing with anybody. The final discussion is determined by the highest aggregated rank. Right? What is the advantage of the nominal group technique? Though you are sitting together, you also have the freedom to work independently. The last technique is the Delphi technique. It is the most complicated one. So even Delphi technique you can mark as a very important technique from the exam point of view. So it is a little more complex and time consuming. It is similar to the nominal group technique, but the difference is the participants never meet each other face to face. Moreover, the physical presence of the participants is not required. We do not know who are the participants in the Delphi technique. Then how does it work? So this works in this way. In the Delphi technique, the problems are identified and the participants are identified. After the participants are identified, they are asked to provide solutions through a questionnaire. I hope you all know what a questionnaire is. It's actually a set of questions. Right? Let's say the feedback form that you fill for your professors and teachers is one kind of a questionnaire. Okay, it's one of the kinds of a questionnaire. So each member who is given the questionnaire is not supposed to reveal his or her name. Their names are not revealed and told to each other. They fill up the questionnaire and they bring the solution. Now, after everybody is answers have come, after everybody has given a solution, the results are combined and the results are also sent back to the candidates. The results are combined and they are also sent back to the candidates. Then again, based on the result, you can have a questionnaire number 2, again send it to the candidates and again ask for solutions. This way you would come to a common opinion, or maybe a few common opinions, right? So these steps of preparing a questionnaire result can continue as often as required, or until you reach a solution. So this is an example of a questionnaire which I have put up over here. You might have filled one when you used to go and have food at a restaurant. They'll ask you to give feedback over there. They would have these books for feedback. So here we have a reconnecting question. Please remember, this question is a little tricky one. A method for generating a variety of ideas and perspectives is called Delphi, brainstorming, nominal group, or all of the above. Read carefully before you give me the answer. This is a little tricky one. Excellent. I would appreciate you understood when I said it's a little tricky, right? See, sometimes the question is quite simple. You might also know the idea, but you are confused by the options. So most of you are correct when you said it is brainstorming. See, Delphi and nominal group never generate ideas, they'll go again for the solution. Brainstorming, the storm in the brain. Remember? So please remember to make an MCQ a little hard. We might have options like both A and B, or none of the above, or all of the above. Please pay attention to such questions. Please read the question and the option carefully in such cases, right? Every time when you have an option called all of the above, it might not be the answer. It might be a way of tricking your mind. Most of us would think in that way. Okay, not only one person. Remember, I'm trying to tell you that most of us would do it in that way only. We would think that, okay, if it's all of the above, then that should be the answer, right? Do not do such a thing. Now, the do's and don'ts of a group discussion. I've already been discussing the do's and don'ts throughout the group discussion. I've been doing it, but still we'll pay a little attention. This could be a short note. What do you do and what do you not do? You can frame the sentences in your way and whatever order you like, right? So listen to the subject carefully and try to understand the way you carefully studied the question before this slide. Now, in some cases, some of the organizations would allow you to use a pen and paper to note down your ideas. Remember, they are not going to allow you to use your mobile phones. Remember, they are not going to allow you to use your mobile phones. In case they allow you to use a pen and a paper, then you can jot down your thoughts in the pen and paper. In case they do not allow a pen and paper, what you can do is you can mentally organize the ideas, right? If you have a very good idea about the topic that is given, do not miss the golden opportunity of starting the discussion. Along with that, listen to people carefully. Support whatever you are saying with facts and figures. It's similar to the signature that you do in the letter. If you do not sign, the letter is not authenticated. Similarly, if you do not have a support of fact and figures, your point might not be authentic. They might not consider your point to be authentic. Now make short contributions of 25, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 3-4 times. See, I have started, so I'll dump all the information. Remember, it's a discussion, not an individual opinion giving session, right? Now, some of you might think, madam, 30 seconds, don't you think it is too less? Let me give you a very simple example and you'll understand why 30 seconds is not a less amount of time. When you give your self introduction, okay, when you are giving your self introduction, most of us have never marked the situation, but now you can do it. You can mark yourself when you introduce yourself. You hardly take 30 seconds when you are introducing yourself. When you are formally, even if you are introducing yourself formally, it's hardly 30 seconds of time that you take when you introduce yourself. Now you can understand why I'm saying that 30 seconds contribution would be enough, 45 to be the maximum amount, right? So you're not supposed to dump in all the information, but see to it that you make contributions 3-4 times. Also see to it that you give people chance to speak. You are not the only one speaking. Even if you are disagreeing to somebody's point, disagree politely. If towards the end of the group discussion the group has not reached a conclusion, they have not come to a common point, then you may summarize the entire discussion in a few sentences, not paragraphs. What are the don'ts? If you do not have sufficient information about the topic, do not initiate the discussion. Do not initiate the discussion. Right? That is also a thing of thought that you should do. Madam said, when you initiate the group discussion, it is a golden chance. It is a golden chance if and if you know a lot about the topic. It is a very big mistake if you don't know about the topic and you start discussing it. Avoid doing that. Avoid doing that. Why so? If you don't know about the topic, you'll be hardly, barely able to speak 10-12 seconds, and those 10-12 seconds would not matter, right? And you might take the discussion in a very wrong direction, which would not be as useful and fruitful. When somebody is speaking, do not interfere. Let the person complete. We know that you do not agree to the point, or whatever point the other person is making is wrong, but have the patience for the other person to complete. Thirdly, as I said, it's not a debate, it's a group discussion. So control yourself by not shouting. Control yourself by not shouting and not arguing in the group discussion. You're not supposed to argue. Right? You're supposed to tell your opinion. Remember, I've been repeating it every time. Make proper eye contact with the group members as well as the evaluators. When I say proper eye contact, I mean you don't have to stare at the people. Remember, proper eye contact is a important aspect of a good presenter. That is what I have been explaining in our sessions over and over. But that does not mean that you stare at the person. So when you are looking at somebody, you look at a person who is speaking. Okay, that's the way how you pay attention, and you don't stare at the person. Next, don't overburden things with unnecessary information. We have been repeating it. Wherever it is technical, we require only quality, not quantity. We require quality. So do not overburden your discussion with unnecessary topics and unnecessary discussions. Do not distract the discussion. That would cost you your chance for a personal interview. Then body language part. Whatever we talked earlier is a language part, and then we have the body language part. So do not pose with negative body language like playing with your hair, accessories, pens, or shaking your leg, shaking the table, etc. Display confidence, not only with your words but also with your body language. So self confidence, low self confidence is displayed if your voice is shaky. Don't do that. Do not try to dominate the discussion. Remember, if the group does not discuss, even if your inputs are excellent, it is not going to be a successful group discussion until and unless somebody discusses. It's not a one way process, it's a two-way process. or a multi-way process. Many people will be talking and you will be discussing. You are not supposed to talk, remember that. And do not put other people in embarrassing situation. I've already mentioned it, by dragging them into the group discussion. You may ask once or twice. Once is what I would say is appreciated. If the person wishes to contribute, he or she can. If not, then that's fine. You have given him a chance to speak. You cannot force the person. Okay, you can take the horse to the well, you cannot force the horse to drink. Right, so you can take the person, give the person a chance to speak in the group discussion, but you cannot force the person to speak. So don't put people in embarrassing situations. Now we have topics for group discussion. So what do we do first? We're not group discussing right away, do not worry about that part. Now you already have an idea about your shared folder. Right, we have a shared folder and you have your lab batch into it. If you can look into your lab batch, if you can look into your lab batch, see, now you see a tab which is titled as 5 lab 5 group discussion, and within that you will see an excel sheet with the title group discussion. I want this lab, we are 14 in number. In this lab we are 14 students, and we have already seen that as a part of a group discussion the members, minimum members need to be 8 to 10. But here, to divide it into two groups, we will have uh, groups of 7 students. So you are supposed to divide yourself right away. You are supposed to divide yourself right away in two groups of 7. Right, so you can access the document, it is already there. I'm giving you 5 minutes of time to write down the student's name, then I'll be giving you your topics for group discussion. Remember, the actual discussion that we will do will take place in the next lab session, not right away. Right away we are supposed to form the group. So please behave in a responsible manner. Do not erase anybody else's name. Select a group. See, it does not matter group 1 or 2. Okay, because there are only two groups. For topic 1, group 2 will start and group 1 will start. That will decide later. Divide yourself equally into two groups, that is 7 members each. I've already formed the table. You just have to enter your names. Right, topics I will be giving you after we form the groups. I don't want you to change the group after you see the topic. Madam, I'm comfortable with the topic. Remember, we are supposed to move out of our comfort zone. Right, so I'm giving you 5 minutes of time to decide upon your group. Okay, what I can see, you're still in a confusion to decide the groups. So what you can do is, you can by 12 o'clock you can form the group. 12 noon, not midnight. 12 noon you can form a group and tell me. I think there are problems of people who are not attending the lab sessions regularly. So what you can do is, you can form a group of at least 5 people. That should solve a problem. I can see regularly 10 to 11 of you are attending the session. So right now you form a group like that. If somebody comes along, then we'll see what to do. Fine. So because we are running a little out of time over here, you can form your groups by 12 noon. I'll add the topics just after the session. By the time you I'll add the topics, group discussion topics, by the time you attempt your quiz. So for the quiz, this is the link for today. You can start attempting your quiz, and I'll put up the topics for each group. Okay. Those who have completed the quiz can go back to the document for group discussion. You can see I've already entered the topics. You can see I've already entered the topics, and you can form your groups now. Great. I can see almost everybody has completed the quiz. Now, let me tell you what we will be doing in the group discussion. So, next lab session, whenever we have, will be group discussing the topic. Now I already decided, or I already told you about the structure of the group discussion. That is 20 minutes of discussion, 5 minutes of thinking time. In our case, we'll not have the 5 minutes of thinking time. I'm already giving you the group discussion topics in advance. I'm already giving you the group discussion topics in advance. So I'll not be giving you the discussion time. Thinking time will be directly discussing. Now when one group is discussing, the rest of the group members, what you are supposed to do is you're supposed to note the feedback. After the group discussion is over, we will give feedback to group one group, I and the other group. Then we will have group discussion for the second group. Now again, the role of the first group will be to observe and give feedback. Remember, because the number of students in our lab batch is less, that is why we have three topics, and you have to prepare for all the three topics. I do not mind if you discuss topic 3 first or topic 1 first, but in the next lab, we are supposed to do group discussion for all the 6 topics. Okay, we're supposed to do discussion for all the 6 topics. So preparation time is already given to you. You are allowed to keep a pen and paper. You might have kept a note of things, right? You can always have that paper with you for the initial group discussions. Remember, we are trying to first do a group discussion, initiate it, and then we can do group discussion on the spot as well. Okay, do not feel that I'm not going to do on the step. We are going stepwise. First, I'm giving you a topic. You may prepare on it, you may work on it, and then you perform. Then we have actually 2 labs for group discussion. So after this already given topic lab, topic group discussion happens, we'll have one on the spot as well. Okay, we'll have one on the spot as well. You may mix and match your group at that time. Do not worry about that part. I hope I am clear. I hope I'm clear about the instructions for the next lab. Remember, you will be judged on all the 5 evaluation criteria that we have got in the group discussion PPT. Do not worry. After the session gets over, I'll be uploading it in the e-content. Right? You can have an access from there. I hope I'm making myself clear.